Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Potter speaking. Today is the day that the strike is over, 90 whole days with this on my shoulder. After all the things worth trying, it's now time for reapplying. Today is the day that I've long awaited. What can I say I've anticipated? I forgot what I was going to say now. Can I say I've anticipated all the plans I have devised? I'll tell you now. I asked to be remonetized. I don't know. Completely butchered that one. I just kind of thought of doing that on the way here. I was like, okay, gotta practice that. And yeah, blanked in the moment because I'm excited. So yes, like I said, today is the day that I can officially reapply for monetization. I might have to, I don't know, re-verify or go through another form or something on those lines. But basically, if people aren't caught up to speed and weren't there during the disastrous end of the stream last night, what's important is that on June the 15th, I got a community guideline strike, and that for something to do with child safety. I tried contacting the support to see what on earth I actually did, and they were very, very vague about it. So I attempted to see, you know, what could possibly be it. So was some of my videos harmful to younger audiences, and I should have age restricted them? Feels like YouTube themselves could have pulled that off. And indeed they did with one of the videos at one point. The rest of them were me. So, but then I found out from KW actually that YouTube actually has a particular rule about not featuring people who were under 13 years old on live streams. And so that was an issue that, well, unless they're visibly accompanied by an adult. So that might have been an issue for KW, who looks under 13 to the YouTube bots, I suppose, and is not usually accompanied by people on stream. That's the reason that she stopped using Facecam. However, I also wonder how much that actually applies to my streams, having featured you know, younger people on the streams since basically I started streaming, almost. So I've been going through one by one the streams that I have and just, you know, trying to sort out that situation in preparation for today, and I am not finished. So, because it turns out, you know, when you do an entire series of streams based on series that use the updated basically almost every 3 days over the course of 2 years, and then less regularly for the 3rd year, you end up with a bit of an issue. But then again, it stopped being live after that certain point reached. So basically I have 5 seasons, maybe 4.5 seasons of My Street to comb through, essentially. And then of course the gacha reviews, particularly the ones that I've done within the past month that might not have, that I didn't actually inspect through back in the day because they didn't exist yet. So I've got my work cut out a little bit just to maximize the chances. I mean, all that stuff got approved originally, but I don't want to be re-demonetized after yet another community guideline strike specifically because of that. And I'm also thinking that I'm not going to automatically monetize monetize the new videos that I might actually have, or like all the old videos, I mean. Some of them, yes, like maybe the ones that I'm completely alone for. But then again, most of the ones that are me alone aren't exactly the most entertaining of pieces of media. So, yeah, I don't actually know. And they're ones that have been buried into obscurity anyway, and have already got the max amount of views they were probably going to ever actually receive. So I do wonder, actually, and of course, does it or does it not apply to VODs? Because I think the thing that got a community guideline strike wasn't actually a stream it was a VOD that because by that point it was already Falcon Claw University. So I don't actually know. It's very bizarre. Still trying to actually figure that out. If I get re-demonetized on this channel, I might have to, reconsider and actually separate out the different strands of content onto different channels just to see how that actually bodes in the future. Which arguably I should have done years ago, but I've been hesitant to do, specifically because I've never actually had a channel that has even approximated the threshold for which I can actually, A, have all of the watch hours in place, and B, just basically even have a shot at getting monetized, other than the Jacob Butter one, which is always in the lead, which is why I prioritized it so much. So yeah, I don't actually know how that's going to go down. But let's not think pessimistically about that. So for some reason, both years in June is when I've received community guideline strikes for just things in general. I think the last one was actually a major copyright thing or something, which is why I switched to VODs for 5 years later in the first place. I don't actually know. But I have had no issues with the streams until, of course, the latest one. I don't really... It could also be Athna's new network. So I never actually got a conclusion, because the creator support that was supposed to help out in this situation didn't really get back to me with anything majorly helpful. So I'm gonna have to see. If I separate the videos onto other channels, it will also be because I'm trying to see what gets flagged specifically. Because last time it wasn't like I was told anything specific, like a video that got the channel demonetized. It was like loads of different things together. Unless the community guideline strike was supposed to kick that in, and that was just a little bit too late. Actually, that may have been it. Now that I think about it, there was nothing else that got flagged on their end. Maybe it was just because I had the active strike, and that was not just for the application process, that was for the whole thing. If it happens again, I'll ask. But again, I'm just preparing contingency plans. Of course, what you're interested in is how many plans are going to come back, essentially. And what's going to happen is, of course, I'm going to bring back the same memberships as before, and I'll still do the unlisted videos for those particular tiers. And I think that I'll do as a contingency plan actually is if it happens again, I'll make a Patreon. So, but then I'm pretty sure that Emily said the only reason that she actually applied for the membership was so she could get that star next to her name. So can't do that with Patreon. So will have to be memberships. Otherwise, there's no incentive there. Naturally, I'll be turning back on, super chats and super thanks and all of that malarkey, of course. Then again, might be also a good chance to mention that during this week, Maya 2.0 mentioned that her uncles actually have made like custom Morwenna, like I think it's like a custom Morwenna figurine or a doll or something like that. I can't remember now, but apparently it was a bit of a complicated ordeal, and I was like, oh wow, that seems like very interesting. I think I brought up the idea of doing Mutant Girl merch again sometime during that conversation, just as a one-off to say, oh well, this is something that I had considered in the past because it's been brought up to me a few times. Now admittedly, these two statements are going to contradict each other a little bit. I said in the stream that I didn't make Mutant Girl merch because no one was going to buy it, and yet I also just declared that it has been brought up many times as a possibility. from people who I know have enough of an income to actually afford it, should they choose to do so. And yes, admittedly, it is a weird thing to wrap your head around, I suppose. And when I mentioned that in the video, Maya 2.0 actually specifically said, but who is nobody? I will buy it. You're helping to make it. What I meant to say was that not enough people would actually be buying the merch, because it has to be commercially viable, particularly for the people who are making the merch in the first place. I don't want to put her uncles in a position where they're manufacturing stuff at a net loss, essentially. Though then again, I don't know how cheaply they actually make their designs, so I have no clue about that. I guess I'm kind of poisoned by the whole like 1,000 true fans mindset with everything. So, if you don't know, the 1,000 true fans theory is that you have 1,000 true fans who will pledge to whatever tiers you actually give them, buy whatever merch line comes out, watch all of your videos or consume all of your content, whatever it might actually be, then you are set for life. And that kind of made me think, oh, well, I need to get up to that particular point before I start doing much of anything at all. But then again, now that I think about it, I got to ask some people some of my YouTuber friends who have merch lines, how stuff has been going for them. And see if it's something that is viable or not. I mean, obviously, those people who have their merch lines have a bigger following than I do. But who knows, that might give me a little bit of an estimate. So yeah, I guess today is all about trying to go through streams and start some calls, which doesn't rhyme, but that's what I'm doing. The plan for today, it seems, is to go through calls and check some streams. There we go. Now it rhymes. What was I going to say? Yeah, so all that stuff is back. I mean, I should do some like new membership things or something. But I never actually got any concrete ideas of what to do. Membership tiers. Oh wait, we're talking about merch, weren't we? Yeah, so who knows? I might actually bring that up to Maya 2.0 again at some point, because actually that's another feature on the YouTuber Partner Program that allows you to sell merch much more easily. Not that you can't do it without it, because you can just go through external sites pretty much. But considering the user interface and how they're supposed to, you know, make it easy for you, I might as well try it through there. Might also mean that everything is coming from one particular place, from the and just that way I can just know. Might be easier to actually declare on the next tax form as well. I'm starting to realize that this is not exactly the most interesting of ordeals to disclose. I mean, that happens sometimes. Probably the most interesting thing to happen this week was actually yesterday, considering that the stream, for some reason, despite me trying to disconnect from it, was still going despite me closing the tab. I thought it left automatically after a while after I disconnected, but I guess Restream removed that. So I have no idea what happened, but KW was there entertaining the audience, so I've just got to give a shout out to her. Thank you for doing that once again. I already thanked you in the video, but thank you once again for covering for me there, and thank you to Bond for letting me know that it was actually still going on in the first place. And then I painstakingly tried for ages to reconnect. Normally the midnight audio thing, not the midnight Wi-Fi thing, only lasts for basically like a couple of maybe 10 minutes usually, and then I can put it back. But that one ended up being much worse. So I don't really know. Might have to investigate that, because I did joke about being paid to accidentally abandon all of you, but I don't want to do that. So I guess I have the same thing to mention to everyone, you know, what ideas might you have for membership tiers and possibly even for merch, I don't know. I also found out that apparently there's lots of gacha series that have merch that also feature like the characters directly, which I didn't think was actually legal to do. So I will look into that. So anything with Moai designs and stuff, or like any of the characters featured physically on anything, might have to actually go through a custom artist or something. The whole like doll or figurine or whatever Mai's uncles were able to do, that would be an exception, because they would be the custom artist in that situation, I'm pretty sure. Again, I have to look into that. That's, once again, if everything goes well today. Technically speaking, last time I applied for monetization, it was like, so I'm just trying to decide where to go. Okay, this way. They said that it might take, I think they said up to like 2 weeks or something, but then I was monetized after just 2 days, I think. Even a day and a half. 2 business days, essentially. Which I guess led me to a false insecurity, being like, oh, well, you know, I guess they've checked things very well, and I'm A-okay. But then, of course, maybe they were still running stuff in the background, and they found something that wasn't okay that they didn't acknowledge. I tried to wrap my head around that while I was in Galicia when the situation happened. It was basically like the same day that we got there. I was so happy to be like, oh, you know, I can actually relax for a bit and try and, you know, and still earn a little bit of passive income and active income as well, because I'm still posting content while I was there. And that was like, it came full circle, because I started competing for watch hours with myself, I guess. I started, you know, trying to gain as many watch hours as possible. Last year, like in Galicia last year, that's when I declared the mission statement for basically the year. Which it wasn't meant to be for the year, but it turned out to be most of the year. And then for 1.5 to 2 blissful weeks, it was, I had succeeded. I felt like I was coming full circle, and then I got a push notification from Gmail that said, oh, you've been demonetized. Oh, well, isn't that just fun? Now I think about it, I've had some of the most devastating emotional blows in that particular household, and yet it was one of my favorite places to actually be. So interesting, because we were in the same house as we were the year before. Who even knows? And it was also you know, a few days after their YouTube revealed they were lowering the thresholds for memberships and super chats and all that stuff in the first place. Just not the ad revenue part. What? Yeah, it was bad timing all around. Maybe the timing is better on this occasion. At least I'm hoping so anyway. Not really much else I can say for right now. I think another membership idea that I had was that I would start posting blooper reels or something, because I collected a few of those over the years on for Mutant Girl stuff. I just kind of forgot about them and did nothing really with them. So maybe I'll, because it seems like from what Ghosty did on last stream with me and my blooper lines, my blooper line really, the Monster Compendium, that people seem to be interested in that kind of thing when I do it, so I guess why not with someone else? And it is something that Prism of Voices did for The Guardians back in the day too. It used to be that it was at the end of every single episode, until they started getting more dramatic. In that case, you know, thematically wasn't exactly appropriate anymore. Which I can understand. I can also understand that Prism has also started a Patreon, so maybe once the memberships and stuff start going again, I can pledge to Prism's Patreon on some level, which would be very nice, actually. So I guess check out Prism's Patreon. Maybe that's a message. But yeah, who knows? By the time that this actually comes out, that auto-generated link that says join the channel to get access to perks might actually work again, and the memberships might indeed be restored. If you ask me, that kind of thing, as you know, I was going to say it should be separate from the ad stuff, but no, it really shouldn't be. Considering that if someone actually is endangering children for real, they probably would get away with that much more so. Oh no, I'm running out of space. Okay, until next time, farewell. I had another part of the song, but I'm running out of